Try to remember your first birthday, the cake, the candles, the room full of people singing at you. Nothing, right? Now try earlier, your first steps, your first word, the first time you saw your mother's face. Every single one of us carries a hole in our memory that stretches all the way back to the very beginning. And the reason isn't what you think. The average adult can recall fragments of life starting around age 3 or 4. Fuzzy images, disconnected moments, the shape of a room, or the sound of a voice. Before that, there is almost nothing. Psychologists call it infantile amnesia, and it is one of the most universal experiences on Earth. Every person who has ever lived has it. Kings and peasants, geniuses and strangers, you, me, everyone. The obvious guess is that babies are too young. Their brains are too small, too unfinished, too busy learning how to be a body to bother with memories. But that guess falls apart the moment you look closer, because a newborn's brain is not empty. By the time you were 6 months old, your brain had already formed more synapses than it ever would again, more connections between neurons than you have right now. A baby's brain is a galaxy of activity, burning through glucose at a rate an adult brain cannot match. So the hardware is there. And babies are not just passive observers. Studies show that infants as young as 2 months can recognize a face they saw the day before. They remember the sound of their mother's voice from inside the womb. They learn which tone of voice means comfort and which one means danger. They remember, just not the way you do. To understand why, you have to look at what memory actually is. Memory is not a file you save and open later. It is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain is rebuilding it from scattered pieces. And that rebuilding needs tools. It needs language to turn a feeling into a story. It needs a sense of self to know that the person in the memory is you. It needs a fully developed hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain that stitches moments together into something you can revisit. A newborn has none of these. The hippocampus is present at birth, but it is not online. It will not reach anything close to adult function for years. Without it, a baby can hold a feeling or a face for hours or days, but cannot turn it into a lasting, retrievable memory. And without language, there is no narrative to anchor it to. Think about your own memories. The ones that stick are stories. The time you fell off your bike, the first day of school, the argument in the car. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. A baby has no words to build that frame, so the experience drifts, unmoored, and dissolves. But here's where it gets stranger. Babies do remember, just not consciously. A child who nearly drowned before they could walk may panic at the sight of water years later, with no idea why. A toddler who spent months in a hospital with painful procedures may flinch at a white coat for the rest of their life, unable to explain the feeling. These are not memories you can describe. They are memories written into the body itself. Scientists call this implicit memory. It lives in the amygdala, the cerebellum, the nervous system. It shapes behavior without ever surfacing as a thought. A baby remembers fear. A baby remembers safety. A baby remembers the smell of their mother's skin. They just cannot tell you about it. So the hole in your memory is not a void. It is a different kind of record. But there is another layer to this, and it is the one that changes how you see the whole thing. Maybe forgetting is the point. Consider what it would mean to remember being born. The pressure, the cold, the first breath tearing open lungs that have never held air, the blinding light after months of darkness, the separation from the only world you have ever known. These are not gentle experiences. They are trauma by any reasonable definition, and a brain that remembered them clearly, that could revisit them at will, might never recover from them. A newborn has no framework for understanding what is happening, no language to process it, no sense of self to hold the experience at a distance. Remembering birth in the way an adult remembers a bad day would be like reliving a car crash, with no ability to understand that you survived it. So the brain does something remarkable. It lets the experience pass through. It keeps the emotional residue, the body-level learning, the sense of what is safe and what is not. But it discards the explicit memory. It protects the developing mind from a record it is not yet equipped to carry. And this is not unique to humans. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Carolyn Rovee-Collier made a discovery that still surprises people. She tied a ribbon to the ankle of a 2-month-old baby and connected the other end to a mobile hanging overhead. Every time the baby kicked, the mobile moved. Within minutes, the infants learned the connection. They kicked deliberately to make the toy dance. Then she brought them back days later. The babies kicked immediately. They remembered. But here's the catch. If she changed even one detail, the color of the room, the pattern of the blanket, the memory vanished. The babies acted as if they had never seen the mobile before. Their memories were real, but they were locked to the exact context in which they were formed. No language, no narrative, no ability to generalize or retrieve the memory in a new setting. It was memory without the memory system. Rovee-Collier spent decades on this work, and what she found applies to all of us. Those early experiences are not lost because the brain failed. They are lost because the brain has not yet built the machinery to keep them, and maybe that is exactly what needs to happen. Think about what your brain is doing in those first few years. You are learning to walk, to speak, to recognize faces, to understand that other people have minds of their own. Your brain is pruning synapses by the billions, keeping only the connections that matter, building the architecture that will let you think, feel, and remember for the rest of your life. Holding on to the raw data of birth would be like keeping every rough draft of a novel you ever wrote. It would clutter the system. It would slow the build. So the brain clears the cache. It keeps the lessons. It keeps the emotional wiring. It keeps the body-level knowledge of what love feels like and what fear does to you. But the moment itself, gone. And here is the part that stays with you. The first thing you ever felt, you will never remember. The first face you ever saw, you cannot picture. The first breath you ever took is a blank in the story of your own life. But that blank is not empty. It is the space where something else was built. The person you are now, with your memories and your fears and your sense of who you are, was constructed in the darkness before you could remember any of it. You were shaped by experiences you will never revisit. And maybe that is the point. Maybe the forgetting is what lets you move forward. Maybe a mind that remembered everything from the very beginning would be too heavy to carry. So the whole stays, and you grow around it. The first thing you ever felt, you will never remember, but it shaped everything that came after.